Today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. What's going on to all my Atlanta fans out there, and welcome back to my channel. We are back discussing this 6th episode of this 4th and final season of Atlanta, which was titled Crank That Killer. Will we get the cameo from Soulja Boy himself, who's all about that safe farm life? How far is Darrius and Earn willing to go for a pair of shoes? And we finally meet our not so friendly friend who was mentioned back in season 1. We're discussing that and so much more in today's spoiler breakdown. But before we get into it, if this is your first time coming to the channel, I want to welcome you to the community. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with all my Atlanta content. You can also give your boy a follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. All those links can be found in the description of this video. Which, speaking of this video, it would mean the world to me if you all can hit that thumbs up button. It helps out the channel so much and spreads this to a wider audience. And more importantly, hit that share button. Share it to all your friends and family that love this show just as much as we do. But more importantly, I make these reviews to talk to you all, so do your boy a favor. Go ahead and drop your thoughts on this 6th episode. Where does it rank amongst the other 5 of this season? What were your pros, your cons, funniest moments, saddest moments, most surprising moments, and of course, the Easter eggs, the deeper meanings? What did you take away from this 6th episode? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. So before we get into the breakdown, just a quick little plug, a friendly reminder for you all that do not know, but every single Sunday, 12 p.m. Central Time, we go live discussing the latest episode of Atlanta. And last week's breakdown that was live was so much fun. It was myself, the incredible Tyree from Struggle TV Reviews. We had the homeboy Brandon from Just My Opinion Reviews, and making his first appearance on the channel, 9 Nerd Yard joined us, y'all. So definitely check out that video, check out the replay, and of course join us this Sunday with some very special guests. So with all that being said, there were so many Easter eggs and deeper meanings that took away from this episode, and I'm so excited to break it all down for you. So let's get into it. Full spoilers ahead. As we open this week's episode with Al in his new crib, which I think was actually briefly mentioned back in episode 2 of this very season.
Make sure to call that realtor back.
As he's looking for something to watch on TV, as Darrius continues to tell him to cut off all this stuff, which I found to be very funny that Darrius was telling him to cut off all these things, considering how materialistic Darrius has come to be, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in that moment, let's acknowledge Earn, Al, Paperboy, especially our boy Paperboy, has come a very long way. If we look back at season 1, not that his townhome was, you know, a piece of trash or whatever, but just look how far he's come. He says in this moment, nigga, I'm rich. And yes, he is rich at this point. So shout out to Paperboy, who's definitely been stacking that bread since we first met him. But we go into this conversation about why Al hasn't canceled his cable, which, by the way, I've canceled cable like 8 years ago. I don't miss it, and I think I never will. But neither here nor there. He says he doesn't cancel the cable because he wants to watch the news. He wants to stay informed, which I don't watch the news for my own personal reasons, but I'm pretty confident that you can stream CNN or Fox News like through an app. But I might be wrong, but I don't think I am, because I'm pretty sure I've seen it on the Apple TV app and the Roku app and all the different apps and streaming devices that I have running around this house. But this is where we get my boy Earn and also Darrius kind of filling him in like, bro, if you want to stay up with the news, just go ahead and download TMZ if you want to know who died, which is 100% true. If you want to know if someone's canceled, go on Twitter. I also agree with that. Want to know what's going on in the black community? Check out the Shade Room comments, which is 1,000% true. And listen, I was today years old when he mentions Lipstick Alley. I thought it was just made up, but I Googled it, and let's get meta right now. Let's have a review within the review. Let me actually look at Lipstick Alley live with you all. I'm going to go to the website now and see what it's all about. Let's see here. What's trending right now on Lipstick Alley? And also let me know in the comments, have you ever heard of this app before? Is this your first time being exposed to it? But we see what's trending. Brandy is hospitalized following a seizure. And keep in mind, I'm pre-recording this video, so this is as of Wednesday's news on this website. Cardi B allegedly divorcing Offset over cheating rumors with I don't blame him if this is true, because she is fine. And a bunch of other stuff. R. Kelly, we got a bunch of nonsense going on. So, yeah. Lipstick Alley. I don't know if I'll be visiting that site anytime soon, but as I digress, we get into the conversation here where Earn and Darrius give him this week's main plot, right? Which is the Crank That Killer. It's essentially a killer who's going around killing fools, has made Crank That videos back in the day. And need I remind y'all, we'll talk about Soulja Boy a little bit later in review, but That song, Crank That, was one of the biggest songs of my lifetime. I'll be honest with you all. That was like the hit when I was in high school, right? And look up Crank That video today. 528 million views, and that's on Soulja Boy's social media, his YouTube channel. So yeah, that's a pretty big song. And of course, you got to mention this was nominated for a Grammy, y'all. You know, you got to get those Grammys, right? As we know from a few episodes back. So we'll talk about more of Soulja Boy a little bit later. But this is where Earn and Darrius are kind of laughing about. I mean, it is a very obscure, hilarious, off the cuff type of scenario going on. I was very serious because he reveals to our homies that, he made one of those videos back in the day. And I thought it was interesting because when they show us the clip, it was on Alfred Miles, his YouTube channel, which I assume was Al's YouTube. And I think it had 25 views, 12 likes on his personal channel. And he personally called it the Crank That Jimmy Neutron, which was just hilarious. And going back to, I mentioned there's so many Easter eggs in this episode, and particularly Easter eggs that tie back to season 1 and 2. Did you all notice on the side of the YouTube video all the little Easter eggs? For example, out the Nutella sandwich dude who went by the name of Ahmed White from the Dreams video. Y'all remember that? And also the band owns Franklin Montague. So again, there are many more Easter eggs that I found in this episode, and let me know which ones you all caught as well. But I thought that was just a great callback to some season 1, season 2 characters. But Earn and Darrius don't approve of this video, and this is where Al mentions to him, wanted help from Earn to remove that video from YouTube, which again, I'm like, yo, that's your YouTube channel, just remove it. But then later on in the episode, they showed that it was on Jay Bird's channel. So I don't know if that was just some miscontinuity within the episode, but neither here nor there. That moment when he told him to remove the video, this episode, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm pretty confident in this statement here. We know that in the past couple seasons, they've done homages and kind of shown some moments that kind of rehashing some moments from previous seasons. This episode, to me, reminded me of a Streisand Effect 2.0 episode. Now, Streisand Effect was back in season 1, if y'all remember. I'll give you some more reasons why I believe this episode was an homage to that, and there's so many reasons for that. But in that episode, y'all remember Zan, he was the internet troll, and we were seeing Al trying to get him to remove that video online, and fast forward now, we're seeing him telling Earn, remove that video from online. So that is one of many, many examples that I have of how this is kind of a Streisand Effect 2.0 episodes. One of them is really pretty big, and I'll talk about that later. But as we transition to Al and the rest of the episode, he is now in the studio, record-breaking 15-minute after cutting a new track. This new guy wants to make a track with him. I believe his name was some dude by the name of Doug, which I Googled if there's some rapper or some artist by the name of that. And yes, as you all can see on the screen now, there is someone that goes by that name. Doug has been wanting to make a track with Paperboy for the longest time, but our boy Al has come up with a million different excuses. One that, if I'm being honest with you all, kind of got me upset, right? There's things in movies and shows, I'm like, why did they just do that? He pours whatever water or alcohol or beverage on the producer's soundboard and breaks it. I'm like, bro, there's so many. You could have just told him, no, we're not making a track right now. It's frozen. The website's down, as he's made up all these internet excuses. But he broke that man's equipment. Man, I would have, of course, he's the client, so you can't, say anything at that point. But was I the only one that got a little bit of bothered, kind of got under your skin that he did all that just to avoid this dude making a track, which they ultimately make at the end of this episode? Let me know how y'all feel about that. But as I digress, we see Al leaving the studio and he checks his phone. And this is where I mentioned, y'all notice that YouTube channel was different. That wasn't Al's channel. That was his boy from high school, which we'll talk about that later. Jay Bird, I think it was his name. And he's looking like, man, I should have never made that video, which is a big theme of this episode, kind of the things we did in the past and how the past catches up to us. But he scrolls down the comment section. There's one comment. It's the dead emoji, right? And keep an eye on that. Remember that emoji, that dead emoji. But at this point, he's a little bit bothered about what that can possibly mean. And we'll tie that into some things a little bit later. But let's break into our kind of side plot in this episode. And the way I'm going to kind of break this review down, we're going to focus on this kind of side plot. We're going to focus on Darrius and what's going on with Earn. And then we're going to wrap it all up with what's going on with Al. So let's talk about which might seem like a throwaway plot with Roberto, I think was the guy's name, but he is essentially an aspiring rapper. He works at a dead-end job that he doesn't enjoy, and his whole goal in this episode is to catch up with Paperboy, rap in front of him, as he mentions, kind of the Big Sean, Kanye West story where he wants to break out and be a star, right? So let's talk about Roberto here. There's a couple things I want to mention to you all. I think there is a lot of similarities to a certain character, and I'm referring to Earn, right? I think this is an Earn 2.0, and we know there's another Earn in this universe, or at least there was back in season 3 before he took his own life. But let's talk about similarities. Number one, the look. Number one, he has the headphones and the backpack, a very similar look that Earn had in season 1. The relationship with his girl and, kind of getting ends meet, having a baby, very Lottie and Van situation going on. And they have jobs they don't enjoy, and they also want to get into the industry. So I think there's a lot of similarities with this Roberto character. But the question I pose to you all, will this character return? Now, we obviously know how things played out with the character that we'll discuss here in a second, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into Roberto. If you all notice when we first meet him, the previous scene was of Al on his phone, and he saw that dead emoji. First time we see Roberto, the camera puts an emphasis on his skull headphones, and it was that same skull. It was that, if we want to correlate to that dead emoji, I think there's a little bit deeper meaning to that. It might get a little bit dark here. What if Roberto does return and he's seeking revenge for what Paperboy did to him, a la a Stan, much sinister version, or not much sinister, because the Stan story was very sinister, what he ended up doing to his wife and kids. But what if this is a Eminem Stan situation where Roberto looks up to Paperboy, wanted to freestyle from him at the most egregious, inappropriate time of all time, which we'll talk about later, but he pushes him in the glass, he's embarrassed. Go back to my emoji thing. What if Roberto ends up killing Al or Paperboy somewhat later on in the season, or attempts to after being embarrassed? Little dark, I know, but let me know if you think we'll see him again, and do you think that there are any connections or any things that kind of line up there, especially with that dead emoji, that dead, literally from Al seeing that on his phone and then seeing that when we first meet him. I think there's some correlation there. I think there's a lot to connect. And who's to say he didn't put that emoji in that video? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on all that. But let's get into our second main plot, our plot B with what's going on with Earn and Darrius. But before we get into that, let's hear a word for the sponsor in this video, Into the AM. Today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. Into the AM is a clothing company with a variety of amazing products such as t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, shorts and underwear, headwear, and much more. Their t-shirts have unique designs, they're incredibly soft and extremely comfortable, and they're made to last. But the best part is, you can get 10% off by using my discount code MovieFiles when you're selecting your new gear, which you can find that code in the description below. Shout out to Into the AM. Thank you for sponsoring this video. If you want to get some of their fresh gear, you can click the link in the description of this video and check it out. And if you do, hit your boy up. Shoot me a DM saying, hey, E, I picked up this, and take a screenshot of it. But anyway, if you all want to get it, use that discount, and I appreciate all the support. But moving back into this plot B with Darrius and what's going on with Earn. Y'all know how I keep saying that this reminded me of the Streisand Effect 2.0 episode. Well, go back to that episode, and what happened in that episode? Let me refresh y'all memory. This is the episode where Earn and Darrius became friends, right?
We're friends now.
They went on that journey when Earn was down on his luck. He needed some money. He was trading in his phone, got the sword, traded the sword in for the dog, and they traded the dog in, had to wait 6 months. And then obviously Darrius was a good friend. He gave him his phone to trade it in so he can pay his rent. But remember that episode? It was a Darrius and Earn kind of journey. Oh my goodness, doesn't that look a little bit familiar in this episode? Their mission is to find these Nike Miracle sneakers, and their person to get these sneakers from goes by the name of the Shoe Man, which I couldn't, help me in the comments, y'all. I tried to look it up. I couldn't remember that actor's name. They didn't show it at the end of the credits. He's a comedian. I've seen him in some stuff before. He's hilarious, and he was quite sus and very hilarious in this episode. Throw his name in the comments if you all can help me out there. But again, they are hoping that the Shoe Man has what they're looking for, and he has that and much more that he wants in return.
What's up, fellas? This kiss ain't gonna French itself.
French kiss? No, you didn't say that before.
Sorry, it's just an expression I'm trying out.
As we see them, he has the 2 pairs of sneakers. They're like very shocked, and they're like, my boy Earn's like, all right, man, how much is that? Nah, bro, I don't need your money. Everyone's got money. I just want to see y'all two fellas kiss in front of your boy.
Let me see you two kiss.
I'm sorry?
Just let me see y'all two kiss in the back seat.
Bro, when he said that, first and foremost, I was already locked into the episode, so fascinated by what was going on, all the three different plots. Who's this Roberto? What's going on with Al? When he said that just caught me off guard because I was so locked in. It wasn't that nothing else in the episode was funny, but that moment just kind of caught me off guard. When I thought he was going to say something completely else, like, buy me a new car. No, this man said, I want to see you kiss. Man, that caught me off guard. What did you all think about that moment? But of course, our boy Darrius, who's my favorite character, as I mentioned many times before, he's game. And because, he's game for it because this is Darrius we're speaking of. I find him to be, out of our entire crew, maybe I'll put Van in that conversation as far as kind of left field type of actions, spiritually being different, exploring different aspects of life, being off the grid. Of course, Darrius gonna be like, yeah, man, I'll kiss you. I know you're not gay or anything.
All right, that's
Wait,
easy.
no, wait, hold on. How much for the shoes, man? How much money do you want?
Let's just kiss for these shoes and call wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. But our boy Earn is, he's a man of principle, right? He's not willing to do certain things just to get material things, even though he mentions he's buying $900 loafers, this, that, and the third. And again, he's come a long way, as we talked about in this episode. But he doesn't want to get into this materialistic, doing anything, putting materials over my priority. And I thought that conversation to me was just so funny. Again, it just shows how far they've come. Even, let's talk about Darrius again for a second. I never pictured Darrius to be into like materialistic things such as shoes. Like, I've never saw him to be that type of person, especially in this episode when you talk about cut your cable, cut your gas, cut your water. Like, what? How do you live? But yet he, it's the things people choose or fascinated about or obsessed with, or, this material subject matter being these shoes. He's like, bro, I don't care. I want these shoes and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get those shoes. So it just kind of speaks to, again, this success that Earn has, or I should say Al has had, has not only bled over to Earn's lifestyle, but also Darrius. I found that to be very interesting. But we see Earn, again, isn't down for this. He doesn't want to kiss his friend. He doesn't want to kiss anyone for a pair of shoes. He tells him, listen, bro, sure, I'll kiss you for some shoes, but we're above that, right? And
I'll kiss you if you want for these sneakers, but I think we're above this. I think I'm right.
Darrius sits there like, you know what, man? You're right. But I'm good. Mr. Shoe Man, we'll take 2 pair of those shoes, please. Thank you. We'll be on our way. Shout out to Darrius, man. I love that character. And listen, y'all, they ultimately kiss. I would love to have been on the set that day. I'm pretty sure they had a good laugh. I wonder if that was like a one take, if they had to do it several times. How uncomfortable or comfortable were they? Because they've worked together for years now. They're friends off the show. So I'm very curious on that moment when they kiss each other, which, again, when they talk about how long they have to kiss, and they were bartering with him, talking about 8 minutes long, and then he ultimately settled on 3 seconds, which ultimately sucked because the dude ended up getting shot, which we'll talk about that later. But let me know what you all thought of that scene. And the question I have for you all is, let's talk about that subplot. Ultimately, this plot is kind of exposing, prioritizing materialistic things over your morals, over your principle, especially when you look at Earn, who was very upfront and very, honest about, bro, I'm not kissing you for some damn shoes. I don't care how much these are. I don't care how limited they are, but he was talked into it. He didn't force him to do it. He could have walked out of the van when he said kiss, but ultimately he stayed and he kissed him. So again, putting your morals aside, putting your principles aside, if you want it, you're willing to do anything to do it, which again, just kind of putting their fame and fortune and where they are financially aside to what they're willing to do for a pair of shoes. I found that to be very, very interesting, which brings me to this question. Fill in the blank. Whatever that thing is, it can be an iPhone, shoes, a purse, a PlayStation, an Xbox, a watch, you name it. Whatever that item is for you, would you, if put in that position with Darrius and Earn, would you have kissed your friend, whether, male, female, however you identify, would you kiss them for whatever that item is? Again, putting your morals aside, putting your principles aside, will you do it? No right or wrong answers. I'm just curious. Let me know in the comments below. So, moving on to the main meat and potatoes of this episode. And that's what's going on with our boy Al, aka Paper Boy. So he is at this point, he's on Twitter, which I gotta mention some Easter eggs. I know y'all was looking at that phone, right? Did you all notice what was one of the first things trending on the Twitter page? Well, it is 9 famous people who you didn't know who was bisexual, and we get the picture of, yes, Justin Bieber, but the black version that we haven't seen since season 1. So I thought that was hilarious. Number one, we haven't seen that character for a while, and it comes out to be that he's bisexual, which I don't know reference to the scene with Darrius and Al at all. Is Darrius bi? I guess time will tell. But I thought that was hilarious. And also that actor, Austin, shout out to him because he's been in some other movies and stuff that I've seen him in, but lo and behold, that Atlanta was his first major role. So I thought that was really kind of full circle moment there. I don't know if y'all got a moment out of that, but the moment that killed me, this was hilarious. Did you all peep the Easter egg about the hashtag mermaids are white? And we've been talking about it for the longest time. This season was written in between 2019 and 2020. And of course, most recently, the Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey came out with the trailer in September. And obviously that was like one of the most disliked YouTube videos, which is just absolutely absurd. And that's a whole nother conversation about how people... That whole conversation is just a separate video within itself. But if y'all don't remember, it was in 2019, to be exact. It was in June when they announced that she was going to be playing Ariel in that film. So, of course, in 2019, in reference to that Easter egg, that's when it happened. So, again, this kind of speaks to the meta nature and how self-aware the show is and how they have their finger on the pulse. So I thought that moment was hilarious. But then we scroll down, and what was trending at number 9? Well, trending at number 9 is that Crank That Killer, who has found another victim. And this is where we see Al takes it upon himself to call the one, the only, Crank That himself, Soldier Boy Draco, making an appearance. You see Soldier Man, as Al calls him. He warns him that he should get away, that he better yet not just get away, he better get himself a safe farm. You know,
Safe farm, you good as dead. You know, like a good safe farm is there.
safe farm is there. Very great line. Can we put that on a t-shirt? Can someone put that on a t-shirt? I would buy it. That line was hilarious. Shout out to Draco. Great cameo by Soulja Boy, who invents everything from YouTube, being the first rapper. He's going to probably say he's the first rapper on Atlanta, which isn't the case. We know that Gunna was on this season, I think, and there was another rapper probably in season 1 Amigos. Amigos was the first rappers to make their cameo on Atlanta. But of course, you ask Soulja Boy, he's the first rapper to appear on Atlanta, right? But neither here nor there. We got to discuss this moment. We definitely agree, right? We collectively agree. There was someone upstairs in Al's house, right? There was someone upstairs in one of his rooms. And this might be a far stretch. I think that was a reference to Pop Smoke, who died in 2020. Like I mentioned, this show was written during that time. And if you all don't know, Pop Smoke died at a very young age. He was going to be a megastar, if you ask me. I like a lot of his music, but the way he died was he was in an Airbnb. I think it was in Florida. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was like 4 a.m. or something like that. There were people that snuck into the house or might have had already been there. He was taking a shower, and unfortunately, he was shot and killed. But I don't know. Did y'all connect those two? Am I wrong in thinking that? But I thought that was a little bit of a reference to Pop Smoke. And I also think there was a Nipsey Hussle reference a little bit later in the episode. But let me know what you all thought about that. But Al ultimately decides to leave his home. He goes to the mall where everything is going down. We got the Roberto plot. We got the Earn and Al outside in the parking lot. But he tries to blend in, and he's spotted and outed by the pretzel girl who's like, listen, yo, there's not a lot of people wear a lot of, and this is very true, there's not a lot of hats without logos on them nowadays, right? But can we address this? What's the deal with Chris Evans being referenced in this show? If you all don't remember, he was referenced in last season.
Blue Lagoon and Chris Evans.
And now here he is in the mall. So I don't know listen, I'm a Chris Evans fan. I'm a Marvel fan. If y'all don't know, I cover a lot of Marvel content on this channel. He's my favorite Avenger. That's America's ass. If Chris Evans somehow pops up in this show, which that guy that was filling in for him, that wasn't Chris Evans, but if he pops up like a cameo, that would be pretty dope, if I will say. But what is the Chris Evans? Am I missing something? Is it like a social media meme about Chris Evans? I don't know. Fill your boy in the comments. But we move on, and I believe the girl from the pretzel shop end up telling others, because we see the girl later on and say, oh, my homegirl at the pretzel shop said that Al is in the mall, which this might be another stretch, but and obviously this happened most recently than when the show was written. But how this show is very kind of coincidental, how things kind of pop up within today's society and conversations. But y'all remember PNB Rock, who died, what was it, back in last month, was it? And it came out that allegedly his girlfriend posted that they were at a Waffle House, and she posted their location. Ultimately, y'all know what happened. Unfortunately, RIP, he died, and a lot of people blame his girlfriend for sharing their location. PSA moment here. Celebrity or no celebrity, don't share your location, y'all. Don't do that. And if you do want to share your location, please be hours removed, if not days removed, from where you were posting that day, right? So just be safe out there, right? And don't share your location. It's not that serious. But either way, it's in this moment, as I was saying, as in regards to covering, I've been talking about this for a while. The foreshadowing of the death of Al and how his past has been following him. Death seems to follow him, especially from his past. And Al this is my other claim to that Streisand Effect episode. And the reason I say that is he's outside of the mall. All of a sudden, there's this guy in this Challenger, Dodge Challenger. You can hear his phone saying, "You found your location," which goes back to my reference to someone in the mall, whether the pretzel girl, the other girl that worked at the restaurant, or someone shared the location of where they were. You've met your location. He steps out of the car. He's wearing a dark pinkish jacket. The side of his head is shaved. And listen, y'all know how I mentioned the Streisand Effect. Does that description remind you of someone? I'm going to play y'all a quick clip.
But he was different. Shaved side of his head, pink jacket, and he wasn't a friend. Dodge Challenger, 70s tan, cleaner than the Board of Health. Guy gave me the creeps.
So there you have it. Am I wrong? I believe that the man in the bar was referring to the homeboy that we're seeing in this episode, because it has a lot of similarities, if I may point out here, as we later find out that this dude was from high school, some old beef that he had mentioned, which I think goes back to my reference of Nipsey Hussle. If y'all know that situation, Nipsey, the guy that killed Nipsey Hussle, was someone that he was friends with him. At least he thought he was his friend, and they had beef. He called him a snitch. He came back and killed him and whatnot. So again, someone that you thought was your friend from your past ended up trying to take your life. So I think that's might be a Nipsey Hussle reference. I might be wrong. Let me know there. Now, y'all remember again the beef that's going on. Now, again, I could be wrong about this being the same guy that the bartender was talking about, because there are other people that has some beef with Al, right? Need I remind you, episode 1, season 1, the guy that he shot, that we don't know if he died or not, but it sounds like he was wounded. He's got some beef with Paperboy, so he's still out there. Need I remind y'all, the black Batman that came knocking on the door. So there's that guy there. And then, of course, you can't forget about the lemon peppered wings guy who...
Don't let me down, man. If you let me down, I don't know what I'd do.
Maybe Al has disappointed him, and maybe he's out for revenge. So there's some possibilities, but I think it's the guy. I think that's our dude that it was referred to at that bar. Could be wrong, but neither here nor there. We see Paperboy proceeds to go in the mall because he's being chased at this point, and ultimately, shots fired. The guy starts shooting at Al and in public, and I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was legit scared. I'm like, yo, we about to watch Al die right now. It doesn't happen, but again, I think that might be something in the future of this season finale, maybe, guys. But I was scared for his life at that point. I was on the edge of my seat. But we see a bunch of people. Again, he's shooting bullets left and right. Bullets are spraying everywhere. And then I thought this was kind of funny because I lived in Georgia for a little bit. But we see now random people, a mother with her kids, some random people shooting back at the guy. And if you all don't know, Georgia is the 6th most gun pro state in the country. And you do not have to have a permit to openly carry a gun in Georgia. So that's kind of a little nod to how Georgia handles its guns laws at that. But the shootout's going on again. Bullets are spraying everywhere. We see the guy even grabs a kid. And going back to Roberto, this is when Roberto thought it was the best time to spit a hot 16 bars, right? And Paperboy muffs that man so hard, throws him into the glass again. Will Roberto come back and want revenge for that? Let me know your thoughts on that. But he's running outside, and this is being intercut with what's going on with Ern and Darrius. They're in the car. They're kissing. They're like, all right, man, we did it. And then they look up, and homeboy just got shot. They take off with the sneakers, which... a little morally messed up there, right? But hey, they had no control over that. And also, let me go back to that moment. Did you all not laugh at the fact that the dude turned the radio up and they were playing All My Life by Casey and JoJo? I thought that moment was very funny as they run off with the shoes. But at this point, Al is cornered. He's thinking he's about to die, but nope. Lo and behold, some guy by the name of Doug is into the rescue. By the way, that dude that was shooting at him, his friend that had beef in high school, is he dead or alive? We'll see if he'll come back as well. Maybe it'll be a whole bunch of people coming back for Al at the end of the season. But as I digress, perfect timing. As we see Doug say, this is just the right place at the right time. It almost makes you think, did Doug have something to do with that? Possibly. I don't know. But he takes the opportunity, as we saw just a couple seconds ago with Roberto, trying to take an opportunity at the wrong time. Speaking of the wrong time, my man just got shot at, bro. And you talking about, hey, you want to make a song together? And he plays that, he talks about this is all fate. He plays that whack-ass Fruity Loop beat, which I found to be hilarious. I would have loved to have Yodel Kid spit a hot 16 bars on that, right? R.I.P. to Yodel Kid. But he takes that opportunity to collab with Paperboy, which we'll talk about that here in a second. But as we wrap up the episode, the crew is back at Al's place, which, by the way, Al tells Darrius he's thinking about getting a farm. And I don't know if y'all saw like the big trailer, like the main trailer for this season. There's a shot in that trailer where you see Paperboy on like this, farm equipment. So I wonder if he ultimately does buy a farm later in this episode just to be safe. He tells them he's going to do that. He learns that the killer, Crank That Killer, a thick black dude, ended up getting caught. And you saw he ultimately wasn't concerned about the Crank That Killer. He was more concerned about the dude that he had beef with in high school that he brings up, what was the beef? What happened in high school? Will we learn about that in future episodes? Was it the same dude that slept with his girl back in high school that he talked about in episode, what was it, in the Wiley episode of season 3? I hope we find out about that and wonder if we'll get that character back again. But again, it's his Jaybird, the dude that he made the Jimmy, Crank That Jimmy Neutron. Was that the guy? Let me know your thoughts on all that in the comments below. But Al notices the new sneakers that our boy Darrius has. And I thought it was so funny. He's like, yeah, man, I had to do a little something to get these. And y'all see that Herb like puts his feet down because he's like, yeah, we had to kiss each other, which he doesn't bring up, obviously. But we end with them listening to that new track with that some dude named Doug. And this is my last reference to the Streisand Effect episode, because in that episode, did the beat in the end of this episode remind you of this?
Like you could be like, bye everybody. Like,
I don't know. I might be wrong, but what a great episode. I can't stress enough how much I'm loving this season, and this was another great episode. I mean, we were right off the bat, it felt like Atlanta, season 1, season 2 with episode 1 of this season. Season 2 was a great callback to what happened with Princeton with the therapy thing. Episode 3, 4, 5, now 6. This is a great season, y'all. This is harkening back to those old school days, and I absolutely love it. But again, let's recap some of the big things of this episode. What's the whole thing about the materialistic conversation? Do you all think that's what they were kind of getting at in that scene with Earn and our boy Darrius? Let me know your thoughts on that. And would you kiss your friend for whatever, like I said, fill in the blank? Would you do that? Let me know there. Al's past catching up to him, and death seems to follow. Is that dude dead? Will he be back? Speaking of will he be back, will Roberto be back in my theory? Where other enemies come out of the past to, I hope it doesn't happen because I love Al, man. I would like for him to get a happy ending. But what a great episode, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. So many Easter eggs. Again, I might have missed some. I might have missed some references. So fill your boy in the comments. If you stuck around to this point in the video, let's think about it. Go ahead and do your boy a favor just to let me know you're showing your boy some love. Put in the comments right now, hashtag Crank That Killer. Let me know if you're still here. If you are, I appreciate you. Just a friendly reminder that we will be live this Sunday, 12 p.m. Central Time, diving a little bit deeper into this episode. So I hope you all can join us. Again, before you all leave, give the video a thumbs up, share the video. Make sure you're commenting your thoughts in the comment section. And, of course, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any of my Atlanta content. You all have been awesome. Hope you stay safe. Don't share your location. Don't go around making videos with old songs. There might be someone looking for you. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you this Sunday, and I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.